baseline with the carb FlashPro, just to kind of see where we left off last time for testing purposes. One of the most important parts, and Daniel will attest to this, is actually setting the carb on the dyno. That is like one of the most crucial things you could do, especially on a roller dyno. We're going to try to keep going backwards in certain steps as the car's not crazy built yet. We're going to be testing out the race FlashPro and start making a tune for that for Powermetric. We're going to see the differences between the PRL intercooler versus the stock. And for the sake of testing, one of the things that Daniel wanted to go over with the dyno is the dyno itself is also calibrated. So we want it to pretty much be the same calibration or close to what we've been doing. Because obviously baselining on different days, you know, there's a lot of factors like gas, the quality of gas, the air, etc. And the baseline numbers could vary. So that's why we always kind of do like an average, and we most importantly do the delta for the day. But one of the things that's cool about this Mustang dyno is we can see how it's calibrated, and if the values are way off, we can always recalibrate it. And there's a setting in here.
So like what he's talking about, basically you shouldn't have to change that or do that at all. But just me being anal, I look at it like maybe like once a week, twice a week, whatever. So it's basically this setting right here. So go to setup and go to low calibration. And we calibrate this actually, I think like either 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's exactly where it should be able to go on 0.72. Like basically it's pretty much 0. I like to always look and make sure it stays there, because if that number changes for whatever weird reason, it's going to change how the dyno is reading. If I see this value change, then we have to open up the dyno and recalibrate it with a known weight, but that shouldn't change. Hypothetically speaking, if that number was changing, I would probably end up calling Mustang Dyno and be like, hey, what's going on with this dyno? So it shouldn't change. But going back to what Nick was saying, one of the main things is, like, again, if that number changes, it changes everything. So I want to make sure that's basically 0. So I'll do that. I did like maybe once a week or maybe even once a month. But the main thing I do is, like, me being perfectionist, you know, I will go back and recalculate the vehicle loss and just make sure the RPM is synced, even though we already have that data in here. Even though the tires haven't changed, the tire size, the air pressure hasn't changed. Granted, the car is on the dyno straight, so we make sure like it has to be straight, because if it's cocked to one side or anything like that, the steering wheel isn't straight, then that can probably screw your numbers too. So I just like to make sure everything is constant, therefore you can test on different days and get the same results or similar results. So
same way, yeah. And, you know, this testing is mostly for us as well as the companies that we work with. So we want accurate readings. There's no need to lie about it when we want to know what works and what doesn't work. And the whole purpose of, you know, doing all this stuff is we like going fast. And at the end of the day, the track times are what really matter to us. The dyno numbers are just dyno numbers, but it is a great tool. And, you know, it's one of those things that we feel we should never skew, or there's no need to really lie about it, because at the end of the day, we'd only be lying to ourselves. So we always want the most accurate, and, you know, as far as testing goes, and doing R&D, we want to test it to the best of our ability in the most controlled environment, and, you know, less variables, so that, you know, we can actually see if we get this intake and it makes a huge significant gains, like, you know, for example, 10 horsepower, you across the country can put the same intake and you'll see very similar results. So that'll not only help us and the company we work with, but it'll help you in making a better, more educated, informed decision on buying the next product you want, whether you want it for sound or if you truly just want it for performance. You know, that's where all of this comes into play. And you can also buy the parts on the Ososik eShop website. So let's just get to it, and I'm excited to pretty much test out the entire PRL line. So first things first, the Hondata Race FlashPro, and see what we can start doing. Alright, so we just did kind of like just another little baseline run, just because it's a new day and everything. And so we can see the real differences between the intercooler. Right now made 180 horsepower and then 210 foot-pounds of torque. I'm gonna go ahead and start swapping out the intercooler. So we got the PRL intercooler to go on here. So that should definitely help, especially with the hot temps out here in Hemet. And Daniel is currently switching from the carb FlashPro to the race FlashPro. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is the race FlashPro, well, and carb, they come with a bunch of preset calibrations. And some of the calibrations that are in the race FlashPro are actually equivalent to the carb calibration. Now, the only difference is on the carb FlashPro, you cannot modify the tune. But one of the great things about the carb FlashPro that honestly it doesn't get as a lot of recognition is that tune is one of the same ones that you could actually get in the race one. It's just locked out, so you can't change it. But you still get the same benefits like the power gains and also just the drivability out of it. So that's a cool little fun fact that I've learned from the guys over at Hondata. So by swapping over from a carb FlashPro to the race FlashPro, we're gonna put the equivalent calibration, and it'll be the same numbers. So while he's doing that, because obviously we're gonna start tuning it, I'm gonna swap out the intercooler. I'm probably gonna get Bumps to help me out. And yeah, so if you didn't know, hey, now you know. So if you're kind of skeptical on, oh, I want the race FlashPro because it has all the calibrations, you know, if you heard a little myth that the carb FlashPro tunes aren't as good, well, just know some of those same tunes are, in a sense, same as the race ones, just they're locked out. And they're carb legal. All right, intercooler time, boy.
Sheesh.
All right, check that out, dude, look at this. These guys are going above and beyond. I know the 10 gen stuff changed too and they got all revamped, but straight off the bat for the 11 gen, this looks really good piece. And of course, PRL, you guys already stenciled it for me. Thank you guys very much, because I'm always in such a hurry and I just start putting things on I probably would have forgot. So that's one way to stay discreet in California with the cops. So thanks guys, I appreciate it. You guys gonna throw Ososik on there for real? All right, so no, in all seriousness, this thing looks so sick. It looks so clean, so nice. Maybe in the future, we'll see. I'll probably get it coated so it's just like more stealthy. I don't, you know, California, really not trying to get unwanted attention. If I wanted the attention, that's what I got the hood exit for. All right, let's see, let's get this installed. Ready? That's why we already had the bumper off. See, we already knew we were gonna be doing testing. So first things first, we just took the bumper off. That way when it's on the dyno, we can just start swapping it out. Well, there goes this car. Alright, so we just got done with the intercooler swap and did the pull to see how much more power it made. And the gains were actually really, really good. So all that's changed so far is we went from the carb FlashPro to the race FlashPro, but at the end of the day, it still had the same calibration in it. It's just now we have access to modify the calibration when it comes time to tuning and making stage tunes for the Powermetric. But just by swapping out the intercooler, we gained.
This car today with stock parts on it made a roughly 180 horsepower and 210 torque. And then when we put on the PRL intercooler, we went to 201 horsepower and 231 foot-pounds of torque. So that's about basically a 20 horsepower gain and a 20 pound-feet of torque gain just by adding an intercooler. What contributes to those variables for more horsepower? Well, obviously the knock control is better because we have roughly 16-degree cooler IAT2s. So due to that, our knock control is lower, our knock retard is lower. The EC will run 1 to 2 more degrees of timing based on those conditions. Boost is identical, boost command is identical, heat plate is identical. So
pretty much what he's saying is
all
the intercooler makes a huge difference. And obviously, if you're new to this platform and you're new to the direct injected turbocharged Honda engines, heat is a very big factor. And where we're located, Hemet, California, heat is always here. I mean, right now it's 88 degrees. So, and summertime we see triple digits. So the fact that we're able to control and kind of reduce the heat with this turbo engine, we're going to see way bigger gains than as if we were at sea level. So bottom line, heat management is everything. And I mean, I could let Daniel keep going, but you guys are gonna have to get a notepad out and start taking notes and start learning new definitions.
I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, there you go. But
we'll put the dyno plot in so you guys can see. Huge shout out to PRL. You guys, as always, did a phenomenal job. The intercooler makes a huge difference even on the 10 gen. So we knew what to expect already because there still are a lot of very similarities. But it is very cool to just see the straight before and after and actually analyze the data logs using the Hondata FlashPro to see how the variables change, right? So like he mentioned, it's the same boost levels and everything. The knock control actually got a lot better. We can see the temps. We can see it in Celsius and Fahrenheit. I'll leave all the technical stuff to Daniel and more of the behind the scenes stuff. We don't want to bore you guys. And I know a lot of you guys want to see more of the process, but we could sit here for hours and really go in depth and review every single data log at every single pretty much RPM point. But I mean, let's face it, you guys just want to know the truth and want to know the results, and we'll give you what we feel you guys need to know. But if you guys do have any questions, feel free to reach out. We keep logs of everything, so if we ever really needed to, we could come back and reference our notes and see from there. So next up, honestly, it's time to start working on the stage 1 for Powermetric tune, but we got to also PRL stage 1 intake to go on. So how about we do that before we even change it to?
Let's do that.
All right. Alright, so we just finished the run with the PRL Stage 1 intake, and the gains are honestly just pretty marginable, and is that the right word?
Marginal. I'm the English major.
He is the English major.
I used to get my average throughout high school and my professional college career.
That's crazy.
More on that later.
That's crazy.
Professional student.
Alright, so with the stage 1 PRL intake, the gains are marginal, and you only really see them above 5,300 RPM. But other than that, it sounds really good. So if you definitely want to hear the turbo sound, you definitely hear it more with the PRL stage 1. And now we're just going to get into some tuning and start developing the Powermetric Stage 1 tune for the 11th generation 1.5 liter turbo cars. So right now the numbers are with the PRL intake stage 1 intercooler and the Hondata preset calibration.
So I made 201 horsepower and 231 torque.
Peak.
I'm rounding down.
And he's rounding down. So, well, I think the dyno already does that for us. But yeah, I'm really curious to see just driving this like this. But we're gonna keep going, and that way we can start offering you guys the tunes for your guys' cars. For those of you that have an 11 gen already, and if you have a 10 gen, do not worry. We have a full library of tunes for you guys, from stage 1 to stage YOLO to stage PRL Turbo Kit 271, the Dub 2, or you guys want some custom stuff, just go ahead and hit up Powermetric. So I want one or two things happen. Mm-hmm. It's making some really good numbers on 91. You guys comment below if you guys really want us to push this car, because we're down. We have no problem blowing the motor to really test the limits on these cars. We kind of know where they're at because it's still 1.5 liter. But you let us know if enough of you watch this and enough of you comment, engage, and like and subscribe. We're down to see how much power we can get until it blows up. So, are you down?
Down.
And we won't even make you guys help us clean it. We'll clean it.
This guy. We'll clean it.
I think with some ethanol in here, this thing's really gonna wake up. So that twin scroll's putting in work. How about what happens if we just throw like a gallon of E in it without the flex fuel kit? Let everybody know what would happen.
Yeah, too, if you want, yeah. Might as well. Sure.
Essentially, it's gonna help the octane, but rather than just tell you guys, how about we just show you guys? We're gonna throw in, well, kind of on E right now, so we'll just throw in a little bit of ethanol and then see how much changes it makes without any tuning changes. I don't know how much that was, but I guess the dyno will tell us. All right, so we put about, I don't know how many gallons. I counted 10 Mississippi seconds of straight ethanol into the car. We didn't change the tune at all. And the gains are obviously, as we expected.
We went from 204 horsepower to 211 horsepower at the top end. And as far as torque, we went from, peak torque is pretty much almost the same, like around 274, 275 torque. But the top end gain is roughly 5 to 6. And you can see the curve is cleaner.
So just by simply pouring ethanol inside the fuel tank, which is on top of 91 octane from California, the car made more power on the top end. So essentially what that does, that just helps the knock control. And with the tune on these cars, the lower the knock control, the better the power in simple terms. If you guys really want to know how knock control works, Daniel and I can do a write-up or even a video and really go over that, because it's a lot more extensive, and there's obviously different variables, but we're not going to get into that right now. So bottom line, a little bit of ethanol helped make the car make more power, and the knock control was lower. All right, so thank you guys for joining, and I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. The Stage 1 tune will be available on Powermetrics very, very soon in the near future. So if you have any 11th gen, be sure to check that out. Daniel obviously is gonna go over all his notes and review everything and make sure it's just all finalized, so that once it's on the website, you guys can just purchase it. And again, if you have better fuel than just what California 91 octane is, then we just proved to you, even if you splash a little bit of ethanol in it, it's gonna improve the car's performance overall. So if you have 93, even better, you can still run the tune, because obviously we're making this tune, the Stage 1, in the worst conditions, in my opinion. It's still 90 degrees out here. And stay tuned for the next video, because on the next video, well, I'm gonna try something crazy, and Daniel said he's down to see what happens. So let's see what happens. All right, so thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to hear your guys' feedback. And obviously we do take your guys' feedback. If you guys have any suggestions, let us know. If you guys have any questions for myself or Daniel or anybody in the Ososik team, just write in the comments. We all see it. So thanks for guys for watching. Remember, life's so sick, live it. Be sure to subscribe and share this with your friends. Stay tuned for the next one. It's gonna be intense.